What if I told you that you could beat Minecraft without having to leave your spawn? That's right, what if everything you could need to go to the end and kill the dragon is right there waiting for you in one perfect chunk? Something which has never been done before, and something which was previously thought to be impossible. 2 months worth of searching for the ideal seed, where everything lines up and is positioned correctly. A seed where directly below your feet lays a stronghold and portal room. When you're restricted to just one chunk, theoretically how fast could you even beat or speedrun the game? So what's going on here? Today I'm going to tell you about some special Minecraft seeds that took 2 months to find, that have generated in such a way where you can get all the required resources and get to the end without having to even leave the chunk you spawn in. I'm going to tell you about how it was found, the many attempts it took, as well as the hardships and issues faced by the players who found it. Today's video is really interesting and is probably a world first for Minecraft, so let's get right into it. About 2 weeks ago, I was lucky enough to be contacted by Matt, a member of the Minecraft at Home team, which I'm sure you've heard of before. Links to their Discord and website will be in the description. Anyways, Matt told me that the team had found a Minecraft seed where you could beat the game without leaving the chunk you spawned in. Well, of course, up until you entered the end. And having a look around at the seed, I was intrigued. But before we get into the actual seed and how it was found, I need to explain a few things about Minecraft terrain generation, specifically stronghold generation. First, however, what even is a chunk? Well, a chunk is a 16 block by 16 block segment of a Minecraft world, which extends all the way from bedrock to the build limit. Chunks are used by the world generator to divide maps into manageable pieces. You can see where a chunk begins and ends in newer versions of the game by holding F3 and then clicking G. Anyways, let's go back to strongholds now. What's most unique about strongholds than any other Minecraft structure which generates in the game is the fact that in an entire Minecraft world, only a maximum of 128 strongholds can generate, and they are all located within roughly 22 to 24,000 blocks from the origin, or 00. And not only that, but they generate in a unique pattern which this visual displays. Basically, all the green circles or rings you see are potential locations a stronghold can generate, and each ring is a certain distance from the origin or spawn and can only generate a certain number of strongholds in its area. For example, the closest ring, which is the closest distance a stronghold can generate from 00, is 1,280 to 2,816 blocks away from 00, and only a maximum of 3 strongholds can generate within this area or ring. And as you can see, more strongholds can generate the further out you get, with 36 generating in the second to last ring, 19,712 to 21,248 blocks away. When a player creates a new Minecraft world, 3 positions are chosen for strongholds to generate at, which are closest to spawn. And these 3 positions are highly dependent on biomes, which without getting too technical, is one of the slowest properties of a Minecraft world that can be searched for in seed searching. This means that the team had quite a bit of a challenge on their hands. Alright, so now you understand stronghold generation, I hope you can begin to understand why beating Minecraft without leaving the chunk you spawn in was previously considered so difficult, simply because when you spawn in a Minecraft world, you tend to stay relatively close to 00. And since strongholds don't start generating until roughly 1,280 blocks away from 00, it's very rare, or was actually unknown whether it was a possibility to spawn in the same chunk as one. So, in order for the team to find the seed, they first needed to confirm that it was even possible to spawn right above an end portal frame. And they did this by modifying the Minecraft server jar so it would continuously generate worlds until the spawn chunk, which is 16 by 16 blocks, ended up having the portal frame in it. As Matt told me in his own words, not mine, this method of modifying the jar is insanely cursed, because by doing this you have to simulate everything in the game. You can't turn off certain Minecraft features such as biome or structure generation, making it a very slow method of searching, only finding about 300 seeds a second per CPU core. So, if they had a 12-core CPU like mine, it meant their computer was able to check roughly 3,600 seeds a second, which may sound like a lot, but when there's roughly 18 quintillion Minecraft seeds, it's really not that much at all. Fortunately, they were able to find a few seeds where the stronghold was extremely close to spawn, such as the seed 449, which spawns you right next to an exposed portal room floating in the ocean, where no other parts of the stronghold generated. In the team's next attempt, their aim was to get rid of the issue they were having with the slow search speed, caused by using the modded jar. So Matt and Boy Sanic created an app which would simulate stronghold layouts, and this is relatively technical, so I won't get too deep into it, but they ported the entirety of Minecraft 1.7.10's stronghold generation into it, allowing them to search roughly 10,000 seeds a second per CPU core, way more than their previous method. By the third attempt, things had really begun to pick up in pace. The team used a library called BIOMES that simulated the biomes needed for strongholds, and also reworked their stronghold simulation app, upping the speed to about 200,000 seeds per second per CPU core. From there, they ran the program for about a week, going through hundreds of millions of Minecraft seeds. Now, by this point, the team had already found a few Minecraft seeds with strongholds within the same chunk the player spawned in. But you see, in order to beat the game, you still needed to get resources, specifically Eyes of Ender, to light the portal frame. And they couldn't cheat it by finding a seed with all the eyes filled in, as not only is that already exceedingly rare, but finding a portal like that in the same chunk you spawn in is, well, who knows how improbable. They were also limited to Minecraft versions 1.8.9 and prior, as in 1.9, stronghold generation changed so they could no longer be in spawn chunks. So, at this stage, the team realized that getting Eyes of Ender without leaving a chunk would be really difficult, as they would likely have to go to the Nether and hope they would spawn near a fortress. They had strategies to get Eyes of Ender though, considering using fishing rods to pull blazes towards them, and curing a zombie villager using a witch and a golden apple to get a villager. However, these were very unreliable and would take so much time, but they were on the right track. You see, the team realized that if they could get a villager, specifically a priest villager as it was known back in Minecraft version 1.7.10, they could trade straight emeralds for Eyes of Ender and skip the Nether process entirely. So when coincidentally one of the seeds found not only had the end portal in the same chunk the player spawned in, but also spawned the player in a village, this was a major breakthrough. Breeding villagers to get the right trades was a very achievable method of getting Eyes of Ender, and spawning in a village could mean it could all be done in one chunk. So, the team realized that they could search seeds for villages instead before they searched for strongholds, as searching for villages is much faster than searching for strongholds. With this information in mind, they began their fourth and final attempt, where they looked for seeds with villages and strongholds within the spawn chunk. And after slightly modifying the program's code, they searched for roughly 1 month, 23 days and 18 hours until they decided the project should be finished. From this vigorous searching, they found 5 seeds, 2 of which unfortunately had spawns just 1 block outside of what they needed, 1 of which a village failed to spawn due to terrain generation, and 2 seeds which had everything they needed. 1 of which you needed to go to the Nether to complete, and the other which you could just complete without even leaving the chunk you spawned in. For this video, I'm just going to be showcasing the seed where you don't have to go to the Nether, but the Nether seed is still very cool. So, without further ado, let's go finally take a look. Now, I should mention that due to the randomness of spawns, sometimes you'll need to create the world again to spawn in the right chunk, but nevertheless, I'm going to guide you through how to beat the game without leaving your spawn chunk in Minecraft. Alright, so first things first, getting the villagers is kind of annoying. After investigating the world in another creative mode save for a bit, I realized that one villager always spawned in this little house which is in your chunk, so you can trap him easily to use for later. Next thing I did was get some wood, but the important thing is to get the saplings from a tree which is just within reach. You can reach outside of the chunk and get things as long as you don't actually leave the chunk, but if you really didn't want to do that, you could just get the wood from the village houses and ration it well. I then proceeded to get some wheat from the few blocks of farm I had access to, and I used that to lure some mobs in from outside chunks, which will also be useful later. I should also mention that because this seed only works in 1.7.10, a version of the game where you can't show chunk borders using F3 plus G, I downloaded a mod which shows it for me in orange here called chunk borders, which I'll link below. Anyways, after doing some basic resource gathering, I crafted some tools and began flattening out the one chunk I had, as I would need to make the most of its limited space. And while doing so, I noticed a villager ran into my chunk, and after he did a little dance, thank you 2013 version of Minecraft, I was able to trap him as well. Next, I did a bit of mining, to not only look for coal and iron, but also just to get some building blocks. Now I doubt my method of mining was very efficient, but considering the little space I had, it worked reasonably well, and I found some coal and eventually some iron. Now I wasn't worried about food because I didn't want to waste the precious resources available to me, so my plan was to just set my spawn by sleeping in a bed, and then kill myself when my hunger got too low, as it would only be a very minor inconvenience. I also moved all my passive mobs to a little fenced off area in the corner of the chunk, but accidentally killed one of my cows in the process, meaning that I wouldn't be able to breed them up for now. Next was to start the villager breeder. Now, I decided to build this in the air floating so it wouldn't really get in the way, and after some serious trial and error with the villagers as they are really annoying in this version of the game, I managed to get them both up into my main little platform in the sky. And, in a stroke of luck not long after, one of the 3 villagers decided to offer himself to my villager breeder, walking straight out of his house and right into the single hole I had set up. And now to start building the breeder, of which I used this cool infinite villager design by Unary Bit that was very simple, taking only a few minutes to build. That being said, the villagers decided to once again become uncooperative, and it took me far longer than I'd like to admit to get them into the right positions. But eventually, with a bit of shoving and maybe just a tiny bit of villager abuse, I managed to get them locked in position, and then proceeded to set up the final smaller platform below with the 3rd villager. And so far, so good. Not long after getting everything in place, the first baby villager arrived, and it now became a waiting game. I expanded the farm a bit more and began breeding up sheep and collecting wool while I waited for the villagers to breed. Now, originally I was going to do this all all in one playthrough, but I seriously underestimated how long it would take to get villagers with the right trades and decided to AFK overnight instead. The next day I woke up and sorted the villagers out, and got pretty lucky finding ones with the right trades. And so the current goal went like this: harvest wheat for food and to breed the sheep, shear the sheep for wool, trade the wool for emeralds, and use the emeralds to get eyes of ender and arrows. And it once again became a waiting game, as I would AFK an hour or so, then come back for a few minutes to replant the farm, collect wool, trade for emeralds, and rinse and repeat for hours. And this took quite some time, and I did a lot of AFKing, and I mean a serious amount. Like, I think I had Minecraft open almost 24 hours a day for 4 to 5 days straight, and I was barely even actively playing. And things got pretty weird. I saw sheep glitch out, villagers appear and then disappear. It was very interesting. Eventually, I managed to get enough emeralds for 9 eyes of ender, and I picked up some other goods along the way, such as arrows, cooked chicken, and even managed to give my sword unbreaking too, and we were finally ready to go. Well, mostly. I used a little iron I had found to make some armor, got some blocks, and headed down to the stronghold. I lit the portal, and I entered. Now, of course this part can't be done in one chunk, so it's just a normal dragon fight. And how hard could it be? Is what I thought, as with the little armor I had, and the fact that I'd forgot that I'd set the game to hard difficulty to spawn more mobs so I could craft a bow earlier, it turns out it was a lot more challenging than I thought. Combined with the fact that the Ender Dragon fight changed in 1.9, so I'd forgotten how the dragon acted in this version of the game, it wasn't much surprise that I ended up dying. You see, I thought the dragon was going to fling me into the air and I was going to get the chance to show off my MLG skills. But no, the dragon just hits you for half your health and that's it. But after a bit of trial and error, I relearned the Ender Dragon's basic attack pattern of eventually swooping down and flying at you head on, and learned how to dodge it and get the most value from each swoop. So it was only a matter of time before I killed the dragon, and even though I almost ran out of arrows, the final bow shot was oh so satisfying. And there you go. That's how you beat Minecraft without leaving the chunk you spawn in. Well, my strategy anyways. Thinking back on it, I realized that there was some massively missed potential with fishing. Considering the many days I spent AFK, if I had been auto fishing in between, I probably would have accumulated some other useful loot. There also may be a more efficient emerald gathering process through trading, so I didn't look too deep into it, with my research only consisting of a brief look at the wiki. So yeah, I definitely think there is a much more efficient way to do this, and who knows, maybe we'll even see some speedrunners attempt it. So if you do find a more efficient way, be sure to @ me on Twitter and I'll take a look and respond for sure. I'll also post some other interesting seeds I got from the Minecraft at Home team here, so be sure to go follow me. Anyways, I need to once again credit the team behind the discovery of the seed, and also shout out the Minecraft at Home Discord and website, who do many other awesome projects I'm sure you all have seen or heard of, so be sure to check them out. Links to them will be in the description of the video. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's a bit different than what I normally do, so if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a comment to let me know, as well as subscribe while you're down there. Join my Discord and follow me on Twitter, you know the usual, links in the description. Thank you all so much for watching.